Welcome back, my dear children. It's truly wonderful to see your eager faces again. Got your steaming cups of tea ready? Perfect. Now pull up a chair, settle in, and listen closely. Today isn't just any old tale. Today, we're embarking on a long journey way back in time, to the Old West. Close your eyes and picture it. Dusty trails stretching for miles, the deep, thunderous sound of galloping horse hooves echoing through the air, and small towns popping up in the middle of nowhere like wildflowers after a sudden storm. It was a wild time. So get comfortable and let the story begin. Once upon a time, nestled between rugged mountains, there was a quiet little town called Dry Valley. The folks there were good, hard-working people, miners and farmers just trying to make a living. But one day that peace was shattered. A ruthless gang known as the Red Wolves rode into town, led by a cruel man named Bart. Bart and his men stopped their horses right in the middle of the town square. With a loud, booming voice, Bart shouted, "You have exactly 1 week. Gather all the gold you've pulled from the mines, and all the crops you've harvested. Hand it over or we'll burn this whole town to the ground." The townspeople were terrified. The local sheriff was an old man, completely outmatched by a heavily armed gang. Even the youngest and strongest men were too afraid to stand up to Bart. Despair hung over Dry Valley like a dark cloud, and the people began to pack their hard-earned goods, feeling utterly defeated. But living right there in the center of town was a quiet stranger named Elias. Elias was the town blacksmith. He was a gentleman of few words, who had never picked up a gun in his life. He spent his days in his shop, hammering iron and making horseshoes. Most folks thought he was weak or cowardly because he never got into fights. On the night before the gold was to be handed over, Elias closed up his shop and walked over to the sheriff's office. With a calm, steady voice, he said, "I won't let Bart take what belongs to our people. I'll handle this." The sheriff looked at him in disbelief. "Elias, you're a good man, but you've never even held a revolver. How are you going to stop an entire gang?" Elias just gave a small smile and replied, "Strength isn't always in the bullets, Sheriff. True strength is in the mind." That night, Elias didn't sleep. He stayed in his forge, and the sound of his hammer rang through the town until the sun came up. No one knew what he was building. The next morning, the ground shook with the sound of the Red Wolves approaching. Bart rode into the square full of arrogance and yelled, "Where is my gold?" Suddenly, Elias stepped out of his shop. He carried no weapon. He walked right into the middle of the square, looked Bart in the eye, and said, "There is no gold, Bart, and there are no crops. Take your men and ride out of here." Bart let out a loud, mocking laugh and reached for his gun to shoot the blacksmith. But before he could even pull the trigger, Elias stepped on a small hidden rope buried in the dirt. In a split second, a massive net made of heavy, interlocking iron chains, the very chains Elias had been forging all night, dropped from the rooftops. Surrounding the square, the chains were so incredibly heavy and expertly designed that they crashed down over Bart, his men, and their horses. In the blink of an eye, the entire gang was pinned to the ground, completely trapped and unable to even reach for their weapons. The townspeople rushed out of their homes, unable to believe their eyes. The quiet blacksmith, who had never fired a single shot, had just taken down the most dangerous gang in the West. The sheriff quickly arrested the helpless gang, and the whole town celebrated Elias as the greatest hero they had ever known. And here, my children, is what Grandpa Arthur wants you to remember. Look at me. A lot of people think that true power comes from having the loudest voice, the biggest muscles, or fighting fire with fire. But the truth is, the most powerful weapon you will ever possess is your mind. Elias wasn't the strongest man in town, nor the bravest with a gun. But he was the wisest. He used the skills he had, kept his calm, and solved a massive problem without losing his temper. In your own lives, you'll face tough situations or people who try to bully you. Don't let fear make you give up, but don't act recklessly either. Take a step back, use your head, and trust your skills, and you will always find a way out. That was the tale of Elias and Dry Valley. Tell me in the comments, When was a time you used your mind to solve a problem instead of getting angry? Don't forget to subscribe, because my bag is still full of stories. Good night, my children. Well, my children, that's all for today. If you enjoyed our time together and the story warmed your heart, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel so our family can grow. Don't forget to ring that notification bell so you won't miss our next adventure. Leave a comment below. Grandpa Arthur always loves reading your thoughts. Until next time, take care.